The private lounge on the 17th floor of the Lumiere Hotel Seoul was unusually quiet that winter afternoon. Soft snow drifted outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, pushing gently against the glass like faint memories returning to the surface. The room, typically used for diplomatic meetings and ultra-VIP interviews, had been prepared meticulously, dark oak table polished to a muted shine. Cream velvet chairs angled to catch the warm light from the chandelier above. It was the perfect setting for a conversation the public had been waiting years to hear. Song Hye-kyo's mother stepped into the lounge with the grace of someone who had lived long enough to understand the weight of silence. Her beige coat was neatly buttoned, her hair tied with modest elegance. She wasn't a public figure. Yet the aura she carried, the calmness, the careful composure, felt strangely familiar. Like echoes of the actress the world had watched for decades. She offered a polite smile to the journalist before taking her seat, her hands folded, gaze steady yet gentle. It wasn't just another interview. This was a mother ready to open a chapter she had guarded with fierce devotion. For years, she had stayed quiet. Through headlines, speculation, rumors, praise, and blame, she had never spoken publicly. But today, inside this quiet hotel lounge overlooking the Han River dusted with snow, she chose to speak for the first time. Not to defend or justify, but simply to share a piece of the truth the world had never been allowed to hear. When asked why she finally decided to break her silence, she breathed out slowly, as though the answer had been sitting on her chest for far too long. Because people think they know everything, she said softly. But they don't know how my daughter felt when she came home. When she sat alone. When she tried to hold herself together. I'm speaking now because I want people to remember she's human before she's an actress. Her voice trembled ever so slightly, not from anger, but from remembering. The journalist leaned forward, sensing the gravity of what was about to unfold. First question was simple yet delicate. How did you learn about the divorce? The mother's eyes drifted toward the window as if the memory itself was hovering somewhere above the city. It was a quiet evening, she began. The kind where the world outside feels distant. She came home later than usual. I was sitting in the living room waiting for her. The moment she opened the door, I knew something wasn't right. A mother always knows. Her hands tightened briefly, recalling the moment. She sat beside me on the sofa and held a cup of tea. But her fingers were trembling. She kept staring at the cup. Not drinking, not speaking. Then she said, "Mom, I think this is the end," just like that. No anger. No tears. Just resignation. The journalist noted the detail carefully, the trembling fingers, the stillness. The quiet sentence that marked the beginning of a painful reality. Moments like that are the ones the public never sees. What struck me the most, her mother continued, was how calm she looked. Too calm. When a person is hurting deeply, sometimes they become silent. And that silence is far more frightening than rage. The room seemed to hold its breath as she described the days that followed. The divorce became public knowledge. But behind the headlines, there was a private struggle unfolding in a Cheongdam-dong apartment where the actress lived quietly, away from the cameras. Her mother visited almost every evening, sometimes bringing soup, sometimes bringing nothing but her presence. Most nights, she would find Hye-kyo sitting by the window, curled under her, staring at the river lights reflecting off the water. She didn't cry, her mother said. That's what scared me. She just kept saying she needed time to understand what had happened, and why. There was a pause, a long one, as if speaking those memories aloud made them heavier. The journalist gently asked what, in those early days, hurts a mother the most. She smiled sadly. Not the divorce. Life doesn't always go the way we dream. Hurt me was seeing my daughter pretend she was okay because she didn't want the public to worry. She is strong, yes. She's also human. When she went on camera, she smiled. When she came home, she was quiet. Then came a moment she had never revealed before, one she hesitated to speak about even now. She looked down for a moment. Strength. Before saying, one night. She finally broke. Her voice lowered, almost to a whisper. She came into my room at nearly midnight. I could tell she hadn't been able to sleep. She sat at the edge of my bed, looked at me, and asked, "Mom, what did I do wrong?" Her mother's lips trembled. I held her. But there was nothing I could say to make that pain disappear. People think heartbreak is loud. but sometimes it comes quietly. A question that cracks a mother's heart in half. Let the silence fill the space respectfully. The weight of that single moment, spoken in this exclusive interview, revealed a side of the actress the world had never truly understood, the vulnerability beneath the elegance, the fragility behind the smile. The conversation continued. Her mother described the slow process of healing. Long walks around Banpo Hanggang Park at dawn. Morning Pilates sessions where she pushed herself not physically, but emotionally. Quiet breakfasts where the actress tried to smile, if just a little. Healing, her mother said. Not a single decision. It's something you choose every day. Outside grew heavier as the afternoon faded into early evening. The sky above the Han River into a blend of gray and soft lavender. Snowflakes drifted slowly past the wide windows of the 17th floor lounge, settling like faint ghosts on the glass. On the table had long gone cold. Yet neither the journalist nor the woman sitting across from them moved to replace it. The room had grown warmer not because of the heating, but because the interview had shifted into a place far more intimate, where memories met truth, and silence spoke louder than any rehearsed line. Hye-kyo's mother adjusted the scarf around her neck, not from the chill but from the weight of what she was preparing to share next. Her eyes softened, deep with a mix of sorrow, pride, something unspoken, a quiet resilience that seemed inherited by her daughter. People often admire her beauty, she said gently. What they don't see is her heart. Her biggest strength and her biggest vulnerability have always been the same. She feels deeply. The journalist asked carefully. How did she truly feel, after everything ended? Her mother inhaled slowly, as if gathering fragments of a truth she had protected for too long. She wasn't angry with anyone, she began. Wasn't even angry with herself. She was disappointed, I suppose. Disappointed that no matter how carefully you build something, sometimes it still falls apart. She told me, Mom, I did my best. That's all I could do. There was no bitterness in the way she repeated those words. Only tenderness. And the ache that comes from watching someone you love walk through a storm you cannot shield them from. The mother continued, softening further. You know what hurt her the most? The public expectations. People forget that being strong all the time is exhausting. She once told me, Mom, sometimes I feel like I'm not allowed to break. And that, she paused, broke my heart more than the divorce itself. The room fell silently still, as if even the snow outside paused to listen. The journalist asked how the actress handled the pressure during that period. Offered a bittersweet smile. She pretended more than she ever had. She smiled when she didn't want to. She greeted fans even when she felt like disappearing. And when she returned home, she let the silence speak. Then came a moment her mother had never shared publicly. A moment she hesitated on, her gaze drifting to the fading light outside. There was one night, she said quietly, when everything caught up to her. She was supposed to start filming a new project. She was trying so hard to be strong. But when I called to check on her voice, it wasn't steady. Her hands trembled slightly at the memory. I drove to her place that night. It was nearly 2 a.m. when I arrived. All the lights were off except the one in the hallway. She was sitting on the floor with a cup of chamomile tea beside her, untouched. She looked up at me and said, Mom, I don't know how to feel anymore. It was the night I realized how much she had been holding inside. The journalist allowed the silence to settle again before asking what helped her heal. Her mother's eyes warmed. She left Seoul for a while. She went to Jeju, quietly, without anyone knowing. She walked near the cliffs in Udo, watched the sun rise over the ocean. She wrote in her journal every morning. When she returned, it was lighter. Not healed, maybe. To begin healing. Her mother explained how the actress slowly rebuilt her routine, Pilates sessions at dawn, long conversations with close friends, spending weekends cooking simple meals at home, visiting art galleries in Samcheongdong, reading poetry late into the night. She relearned herself, her mother said. I think that was the most important part. The journalist then asked the question many fans had whispered over the years, did she ever talk about loving again? About opening her heart? The mother gave a soft chuckle. First one of the entire interview. She's not someone who closes her heart forever. She's cautious, yes. Guards herself more now. But she believes in love. She always has. She just told me, Mom. Love should not make me lose myself. It should help me find myself. And I think she's waiting for that kind of love, if it ever comes. There was a long pause before the mother revealed one final detail, a memory she had kept close to her chest. One day, she said, she received a message from an old friend. Simple, you deserve better. She cried for 10 minutes. Not because of the words, but because someone finally saw the strength it took for her to walk away. Sometimes a single sentence can make you feel understood. Mother's voice softened to a near whisper. She didn't break because of the divorce. She broke because she thought she had to be strong alone. The journalist sat back, absorbing the depth of that statement. It was rare to hear such vulnerability spoken so plainly. The interview drew to a close. The snow outside had settled into a thick white blanket across the hotel rooftop. The air had grown quieter, gentler, as though the world had softened to match the tenderness in the mother's final words. When the journalist asked if she had anything she wished to say to the public, the mother nodded slowly. Please, she said. Her as a symbol. She is a daughter, a friend, a woman who has lived and learned. She has tried to be kind in a world that is not always kind in return. If you want to support her, simply let her grow. She stood, adjusting her coat as she prepared to leave the lounge. The chandelier light reflected softly in her eyes, warm, steady, resolute. Before walking toward the elevator, turned back with one final thought. A broken heart, she murmured, is not the end. For Hye-kyo, it was just the beginning of understanding her own worth. Later doors closed, leaving behind an echo of her words, an echo that carried the quiet strength of both mother and daughter. And as the journalist gathered their things, realized this interview was not merely a story about a divorce. It was a story about resilience, healing, and the silent battles fought in the shadows of fame. Outside, the snow continued falling, a reminder that healing, like winter, arrives slowly, softly, but inevitably.